Chelsea, 3 games without a victory. It's gone a little bit pear-shaped the last few weeks. Do you think we'll bounce back this weekend?
I hope so. I didn't see this coming. I can't lie. I think Maresca's kind of put us in a position where we've not been set up well enough to win the games of football that have been in front of us, to be honest with you. I just didn't see this coming. So we have to. We got Palace away, tough fixture. It was tough last season. I'm not sure what Maresca's going to do with the side, to be honest with you, because I think he's found probably in the last couple of games that he can't trust a couple of players in this squad. So I'm not sure we'll see them again.
Do you think Jackson will come back in?
Yeah, I think he will. I'll be honest, the Nkunku experiment at 9 has just been ridiculous. I just don't understand why Maresca has insisted playing Nkunku as a 9, or and seeing him as a 9 when he said himself he doesn't actually think he is a 9. I just don't understand that.
Do you think he's overthinking it a bit with his team selection? Because you had I think you won something like 7 out of 8 games. Then you went into, what was it, the one before the Fulham game, which would have been the Everton game. Then he dropped Jackson, didn't he? Started on Nkunku. Then he brought Jackson on in like the 80th minute.
Who?
Whatever his fucking name is, you know what I'm talking about?
Conkers.
Right, which you know what I'm talking about.
Are you speaking French? What's going on here?
You brought him in, right? And you've not won a game since, have you?
No, we haven't. Look, I don't know. Jackson's not been fantastic. I actually think Jackson scored a great goal against Villa, and since then, I don't think he's been fantastic. I think even in that Villa game, I think he just looked a little bit off it. And then since then, I just think he looks more like the player we saw last season. So I think actually he's probably turned to Nkunku to give him one last chance. And Nkunku's body language every time he steps on the pitch as a 9 has just been a joke. It's not interesting.
When you said earlier, you said you didn't see this type of form coming. What did you mean by that?
Well, I thought Maresca had tried a couple of things earlier on the season. They didn't work. He fixed it pretty quickly, and I thought we were kicking on. I think in the last couple of games, I think Henry's right. I think he thought too much. I think there's a little bit of meddling, and I think there's some experiments going on with a couple of players that I don't think are necessary. Dazassi played right back, and he obviously comes into the sort of a 3 when we're in possession. I just think there are players on that pitch, on the subs bench, that could have been playing instead of him, and he ultimately was so impactful in Chelsea losing that game against Ipswich.
I saw this coming, Dan.
Nah, why? What did you see?
Couldn't they? So did I.
Yeah, and this is the thing. And this is what. Hold on, let me explain.
Let me explain. Because go on then. Because one second, mate, just before you explain, right? I'll tell you why I didn't see it coming, because I feel like I should say that. I didn't see it coming because against Brentford and against a couple of other teams before that, the tactics and the instructions that the players had were completely different to the last 3 games that we've had. That's why I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe you didn't see it. I wouldn't say necessarily I saw it coming right now, but in terms of the overall look of Chelsea as a season, I've been trying to say everyone's getting a little bit too excited about how they've started the season and where they're at, and our rebuild is only this amount of time in, and we're already hit. There was all sorts of different narratives. I was like, guys, can't you just enjoy your football? You're in the running with the title. Just enjoy yourself like week to week. But everyone just got too excited and thought they're back and all these different things. I saw this because Chelsea players, the squad hasn't shown us that they're now a squad that can be relied upon. Yes, they've had different players do good things for bits and pieces, but there's no body of work to say that these players can be relied upon for a duration of time, which is why I say the Chelsea thing is a time-to-time thing. Maresca showed us last season that second half of the season, he kind of overthinks a little bit, which is why I was kind of waiting until that period to see that this. I didn't think it'd happen now, maybe, but I thought they would have a tough period where Maresca and these young players are going to be tested, and there's no real leaders in the group to be like rally them together because when you're coasting off a good run, you're coasting, innit? Because they don't need to be any leaders. You're like, oh, this guy's playing well, that guy's playing well, cool. But when you go through some adversity, that's when you're going to miss the big names, the players of experience, the leaders. That's when we're going to see, can these Chelsea players really grow from boys to men like the fan base really thought they had.
Can I just add to that before you go? Just to add to that, when we were talking about you guys being competing for the title, I understand the whole thing about, oh, we're not competing. I saw the interview with Madueke when they asked him, are you competing for the title? He goes, no, what's that? What's competing for the title? Like, we can't see the Premier League table. Exactly. We can't see the Premier League table. I just think that seeped into the dressing room where it gave people the excuse of saying, well, we're not competing. We're just out here, just having great time and playing football. Joining on to what Kunle was saying was when the going's good, it's good. But when there's some adversity, we're not competing. So
I personally think it's the other way around. I think everyone getting on our back saying you are in a title race is more likely have got to the players than everyone else saying we're not in the title race.
Love it.
Personally, if I genuinely believe I'm not in one, but every time I play a football game, every time I make a bad pass, the fans are shouting at me going, why are you not doing this? We need to score a goal because we're in a title race.
But then when you
that's going to put more pressure on you as a player than everyone going, you're not in the title race regardless.
When you make a mistake, or because you got a young
squad, playing for Chelsea Football Club, no,
and you got players who lack discipline,
that's what I'm saying. It's called playing for Chelsea Football Club. So you play with pressure. I'm hyping your team here, bro. Relax.
It gives you an excuse. It gives you an excuse when your own manager is saying we're not in the title race. It gives you an excuse for, instead of aiming for a star, to go for the B. And sometimes it's okay to be B.
What I find funny about that is that, again, behind again, we were literally talking about process before the show started.
Yes.
The jump from where we were, and this is why I thought this was going to happen. The jump of going from where we were last year to where people thought for some reason we were this year requires a process. That ain't happening in 12 months. It's not.
Hey Phil, you need to stop addressing David. It's Dan we need, bro. It's Dan.
It's not going to happen. And literally, I was sat here with Dan and CB, and we were talking about before Everton and before Fulham, and CB was just like, "Oh, we're going to win those games. Simple, done."
No, I know you're going to the wide.
They're not gimme games.
Yeah, Everton, I know, but you're going to a wider point. I'm saying you are where you are. You're already there. Like, whether you plan to do it or not, you were already there by giving yourself the excuse of not competing.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation, not this one, but about in the title race or out of the title race. Whenever you ask a question, the answer wasn't to that question. The answer was, I don't think we're going to win it.
Yeah,
and that was never it. If you think about it as a boxer. Every few months, every few years, when a boxer's on the come up, there's a time where you've got to go from the local fights to the national fights, and then maybe the national fights to the European fights, and then the European fights to the world fights. Sometimes the timing's off and you jump up a little too early, or the person you're fighting is more experienced and you lose. But until you start testing yourself at that next level, you don't know where you are. And I think that Chelsea being tested in a title race environment is only good for them. I understand that idiots online will go too far with it and over banter. Rivals will always give you a bit of stick, but you need to be tested in that way. And maybe the wobble has happened because the pressure got on top a little bit. But as long as that is managed right by the club, by the head coach, by the senior players, it's what will make you stronger next time round, because you'll understand what it feels like. And I know that Standard FC exists, but Standard FC exists in a weird way. I get Will, and all of these little Real Madristas, they get it. They've been in title races pretty much every single season since they've all been alive, so they don't need to worry about processes and getting back to that point. They've never had a fall off. And one of the things I'd love to see happen, not because I want to see Real Madrid do bad, I would love to see Madrid go through like a 10-year period like United or Arsenal have done, just so that when they're rebuilding, they all go, oh, fucking hell, this is why. Because Real Madrid
they need that.
You know them rich people that say, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Everybody's got 24 hours in a day. They don't understand that not everyone has the same 24 hours in a day when your club has fallen off, right? For right or wrong reason, right? But all jokes aside.
The 2020-2021 season, to be fair. I've seen pain.
Yeah. There's a great line from a British sitcom where a character called Boise turns around to Del Boy and Rodney and says, called Only Fools and Horses, and says, how's your business? You went really struggling this year. Me and the wife only got 1 week in Barbados, not 2. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones for you guys. But yeah, look, I think this has been good for Chelsea. I know it's not good in the moment, but I think this is part of what is going to make you a team that by the end of this season I think most football fans, when they're being honest and truthful, will say this team is at title challenging level, pretty much. And next season, with a bit more additions, Chelsea are going to be very, very dangerous. You almost need these. Look, sometimes you go through these moments and you come out on top and you win. It's happened before. Like Leicester's a great example. No one expected it. They kept on getting better and better. They won the league. But typically speaking, when a team like yours is on the come up, these experiences are needed to make you battle hardened to actually go on and be more consistent and win things. So I think in the short term, there's banter to be had. There's criticism to be had. I think the worst thing Chelsea fans can do is turn on the manager, turn on the players, and start losing their minds. Constructive criticism, constructive criticism is needed. In terms of this game, though, they're away at Crystal Palace. How do you see it going, Will?
They should win, but I mean, with the form that they're on, I'm not sure. Yeah, the thing is, I think Chelsea have one of the most talented squads, and I think on paper, right, this is a game that they should be getting 3 points, right? They should be, in my opinion, winning like 3-1 because we all know that their back line is going to make mistakes more than likely. Like their defenders and their goalkeeper is just not that good. I think we have to have a conversation about like Levi Colwell. I feel like he gets away with a lot.
What conversation would you like to have, Will? Tell us.
Say it again.
What conversation would you like to have about him, Will? Tell us, please.
I feel like he doesn't get talked about the same way that Disasi and Badiashile do. And I don't necessarily...
Why do you believe he should get talked about like that?
He's behind.
No.
This is Will's segment, David. Don't interrupt.
I'm not saying that he's as bad as they are. I think that they are awful. But I don't think Levi Colwell is good either. I think he's a very average defender. I guess we could say like English tax, right? And he's from...
You say he's that one season in Brighton, he's enjoying that
a lot. Yeah, like... What I thought Levi Colwell was going to be,
by the way,
he hasn't developed.
So, what were people basing how good he is on then? If he didn't play that much for Brighton,
I think he had a couple of good games.
High potential for a while.
Potential. Okay,
but there's a rashness to Levi Colwell where he doesn't think, and certain situations we've seen it this season, especially against Liverpool. There's a panic that sets into his game.
Yeah, but so the thing is, Dan, I remember. Not on this channel, but on I forget what channel it was. It was before the season. I was arguing with a Chelsea fan that was because I was saying that your best center back is Fofana, but he was saying that it was Levi Colwell, and I thought like again, I thought Colwell was going to develop into a very good center back, but it's like you guys have nobody that gives you stability, especially with Fofana now being out, which it seems like he's always injured nowadays. But you don't have any defender that I think can play the style of football that Maresca wants. And I know that we're just talking about the title race. I think that we all know how good your midfield and attack is. But the reason why I don't think anybody believes that Chelsea would win a title, at least this season, was because of your back line, right? I think your fullbacks are fine, but then it's like the middle of your defense, the center backs and the goalkeeper. It's just not good, like at all. And I think that is a massive hole that Chelsea have to address. In these next few transfer windows, and not with young players. You should go out there and get experienced defenders, not like a 21-year-old that has good potential. You need somebody that's like mid-20s, maybe closer to 30, that's already battle tested, and then you guys can then talk about, let's say, like actually going on to win a title. But I think the game against Palace, Chelsea should win. They have like all that firepower. Their midfield should be able to control the game, right? You got Cole Palmer, Sancho, like Neto, Nicholas Jackson. These guys should be scoring against.
Wait, should we save the Sancho talk till May, guys? I don't mind.
What's wrong with Sancho?
We can start it, or should we save it till May? Because Terry, I told you by the end of this season, Chelsea fans are going to be upset about Sancho the way that Man United fans were.
He passed the eye test though.
He has some little cameos, 2-3 games, and they're like, "Oh, thanks for the signing, Man United." All this rubbish, and then trust me, by the end of the year, they go complain.
What? He only cost 25 million. So I don't understand why we'd be that disappointed if he's at this level for the rest of the season.
You'll be that disappointed because you expected him to be a world beater the way you guys were propping him.
I think that's where Sancho's been decent this season. I think he's been good. I think he looks like a different player to what we look like United.
Like, where's this coming from?
Right. I'm so confused.
Has Sancho been bad, in your opinion?
No, this is what I'm saying. Sancho has done what he does. He has a few good weeks. People start getting excited saying he's the guy. and then we ain't seen him for the last 3 games.
Wow.
Has he played well in the last 3 games?
For the last 3
In
games.
the last 3 games, he's not played well.
Yeah, but like a majority of their squad hasn't played.
No, but
that
I'm letting you know that this is going to be a trend that continues, because this is what Sancho does when he gets to England. He can't cope when the man them are around him. He's on 350 racks a week, and he's surrounded by the boys. He loses himself after he has a few good weeks. He's proven
Sancho's
it.
a very good
Hey,
player.
Will. Until he proves me wrong, where he does something different to that, I'm gonna.
Yeah, but he's been good for Chelsea so far. I think
what do you mean so far? How many good games has he had? How many good games has he had? 5?
5 or 6, maybe getting closer to 8, 9. Like he's been
all
all
right.
right.
18. Okay, cool. He's done all right, man. Let's see.
He hasn't played all 18 games.
He hasn't played that many.
No,
games.
but okay.
He's
So
only
have
played
Chelsea?
13 games.
Okay, how many games has he been available this season?
He's played 13 games for Chelsea in the league so far.
And
I
5 of them,
would say
he's played good.
2/3 of his games have been good enough.
No. I'm saying, Dan, I'm excited that you're getting behind him and you're confidently backing him, because at the end of the season,
He's given us reason. Yeah, but Kunle, he's given us reason to. It's almost like you're suggesting that we have no reason to.
Dan, I specifically said, do you want to discuss him now or in May?
I'll discuss him now and in May. I've got no issue with it. I think he's been good enough, especially if we get him for the price we're likely going to get him for. I think he's absolutely fine.
So you're basing that on the price or his actual quality?
Price, his attitude. I think he's applied himself really well. Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people, a lot of people had question marks about Jadon Sancho, and I think he's applied himself to Chelsea's project really well.
Fair enough. I'll remind you in May, though.
I'll take him over Martinelli, that's for sure.
What are you? It's almost like you're expecting him to
that
do
ain't nothing,
something.
bro. That ain't nothing to shout about.
Viewers.